Okay, sorry about not having a camera. My computer really slow. It's hard to record and share and have it on. But so my topic is on international prescription drug prices. I'm going to compare the top three highest drug prescription prices and the top lowest. I'm going to compare the health system overall briefly, and then talk about how ethical it is to charge different prices for drugs, and just comparing the systems. So starting with the three highest, and this is showing the per capita spending of drugs in the nations around the world. So the top three highest is the United States, Germany, then Canada, and then the lowest is the United Kingdom, Sweden, and Australia. And the total price includes the amount that's paid out of pocket and the amount covered by insurance. So in the United States, the pharmaceutical companies, they make and sell drugs without explaining their pricing. Some factors that contribute to price are research and development of the drug, but many companies set prices higher than those costs. Drug prices in the United States are similar to a car sticker price. The price is important, but discounts are often applied. The pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMs, they work on behalf of insurance companies to negotiate discounts on drugs. But even at this stage, the amount of discount is not disclosed. And finally, the health insurance companies set the price that the patients end up paying, and this can widely is determined by the type of insurance patients have. In Germany, drug pricing is similar to the United States in some aspects. Um, it's still negotiation between a insurer and a and the drug manufacturer. So they negotiate the same way in the United States, but they end up having a slightly lower amount due to major political and public pressure. And a major difference between the pricing in Germany and the pricing in the United States is that the pricing in Germany is public, and the final price is available for companies, patients, and other countries to see. And this is important because other countries use Germany's index to help determine their regulations for pricing. In Canada, the government has boards of review, and the review boards determine drugs' effectiveness and sets a fair price a company must sell the drug at. So they are heavily government controlled, the prices, and they have a universal healthcare system. So any drug manufacturer that wants to sell to the entire country of Canada has to go through government regulations and set the price that they determine. So in the United Kingdom, the value of medicines pharmaceutical are decided, and the value that it brings to the NHS. So the NHS, it works with the pharmaceutical companies to determine the value. So whatever the pharmaceutical companies they give their price, and the NHS determines if it's valuable depending on how well the drug works, what the drug does, how many people are suffering, what the drug will relieve, and many different factors. So they do a very intensive search into before deciding the price of the drug. And the NHS is a strong customer in the United Kingdom. And there's also the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, or NICE, and this they research how effective a drug is and determines value. So once NICE does all this research to figure out the correct value of a drug, they send their information to the NHS, and they then work with the pharmaceutical companies to determine the price. In Sweden, it's government regulated, and they use pricing based on reimbursement schemes. This helps a little more in reducing the price than in other countries that use government regulated costs. And here is how Australia prices their drugs. they're regulated by the Therapeutic Goods Administration, or TGA. And the TGA evaluates the value of a drug and sets a price. So the TGA works much like the NICE in the United Kingdom um, in terms of determining the value of a drug and determining if what price is suitable for that value. They also use pharmaceutical benefit schemes, or PBSs, which they subsidize certain life-saving medications and offer them for free um, to further reduce the cost of drugs. And this is the entire ranking of healthcare system performances. As you can see that the some countries up here that weren't mentioned, I'm only looking at the top three highest and the top three lowest drug price country, which all are included on this list, but there are just some that are also here that I did not speak about. So if we look at the total ranking of them, it goes in order: Australia, United Kingdom, Germany, Sweden, Canada, and United States. So looking at Australia, their overall ranking is 3. Their access to care is 8. Care process 6. Administrative efficiencies 2. Equity is 1, and healthcare outcomes is 1. So while drug prices may not contribute to every factor, it's just kind of a picture of how well countries can manage their entire healthcare system. Then in the UK, their overall ranking is 4. Their access to care is 4. Their care process is 5th. Administrative efficiency is 4. Equity is 4. And healthcare outcomes is 9. While Germany is 5th overall, despite having the second highest drug prices. Access to care is 3. Care process is 9. Administrative efficiency is 9. Equity is 2. And healthcare outcomes is 7. Then moving on to Sweden, we see overall ranking is 7. Access to care is 6. Care process is 11. Administrative efficiency is 5. Equity is 6. Healthcare outcomes is 5. Then moving to Canada, we see that the overall ranking is 10. Access to care is 9. Care process is 4. Administrative efficiency is 2. Equity is first. Excuse me, I'm looking at Australia. Overall ranking is 10. Access to care is 9. Care process is 4. Administrative efficiency is 7. Equity is 10. And healthcare outcomes is 10. And then finally, United States, overall is 11. Access to care is 11. Care process is 2. Administrative efficiency is 11. Equity is 11. And then healthcare outcomes is 11. This is rankings from Commonwealth Fund, and they based on healthcare support. And the chart includes all these different countries I mentioned. And there are many different factors that make the healthcare system successful. Drug price is on one factor, so we can't really make a conclusion that the lower drug prices equal better healthcare system. However, the two countries with the lowest drug prices also have the highest ranked healthcare system. But the country with the lowest drug price overall, the United Kingdom, is ranked second to Australia, which didn't have the lowest. It still had a low, but it didn't have the lowest. So I think we can conclude that the way a country approaches regulating drug prices might show how they regulate the rest of their system. And in this case, the lower drug prices, in some aspects, showed a more higher ranked healthcare system, but it's not always the case because Germany has a pretty high drug price as well, but they're ranked pretty high in the healthcare. So I put up an anonymous survey on different social media platforms, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Reddit, and a few online websites. And I asked different types of groups, pre-medical groups, physician groups, just general ISIS population. I got around 60. I got 60 respondents that took the survey, and the questions that were asked were: Are you happy with the current prices of drugs in the United States? Is it ethical for drug manufacturers to hide pricing information? Is it ethical for manufacturers of a drug to change whether they want to charge whatever they want for life-saving drug? So for the first question, are you happy with the current price of drugs in the United States? 85% said that they were not happy with the current prices of drugs in the United States. So again, this was from a variety of different groups. And then the next question is, it ethical for drug manufacturers to hide pricing information? 95% said that it was unethical for manufacturers to hide pricing information, which is interesting because in the United States it's hidden, and most people seem to think that it's unethical to hide it. You think that maybe there would be a push um, to make it more public. And for the final question, is it ethical for manufacturers of drugs to charge whatever they want for a life-saving drug? 89% said it was not ethical for manufacturers to charge whatever they wanted for a life-saving drug. So there's a lot of issues that arise from companies being able to hide prices behind the drug. So pushes for international drug pricing index have been made, even within recent competitions. So stricter regulations um, on how price is determined is useful. Many countries use Germany's public index, for example, as a reference to what a drug price should be and how they should approach their drug pricing in their country. Other countries strictly determine the price based on value to population. I think the United Kingdom, out of the ones I looked at, has the strictest uh, thorough regulation of drug prices based on value. And recent politicians in the United States have pushed for more regulation on drug pricing. And this is important because transparency can help the consumer to know what they're really paying for and if they're willing to pay for it. If you just assume that the price that you're paying is what it costs to produce it, then you might not question it, rather than if you found out that the price that you're paying is marked up a lot just for the gain of the pharmaceutical company. In addition, um, value of drugs will change depending on the country because different countries have different issues that are prevalent in their healthcare system. So different drugs would be more in different places, but just having a general index fund to determine the fair price would be helpful. So a lot of push for that has been made recently. Another interesting thing I saw recently was that Mark Cuban created a pharmacy that sells a variety of generic drugs in an online format that's transparent about its pricing, and lowers drugs some by 100-fold. So he does this by manufacturing because generic drugs aren't patented, so anyone can make them. So he makes those, and he doesn't work with the insurance company, doesn't work with all these different um, um, pharmaceutical benefit managers that get these discounts, but you're not really sure if they bring the discounts down to the patient. That he bypasses that, going straight from the manufacturer to selling it online. But a downside of this is it's only through out of pocket. That's the only way you can get them, and it's not covered by any insurance. But oftentimes, especially in the United States, out of pocket costs are on average $162 per capita, and um, the amount that cuts down on some drugs are makes it more beneficial to um, shop off of Mark Cuban's pharmacy. But it's also very limited because a lot of drugs are not generic or patented. And their site says that only if they can get into brand name drugs that could they really launch off and try to help this price gouging in the United States. So, in conclusion, I found that the top ways that drug prices are regulated in the countries with the lowest drug prices are from strict government regulation or working with the pharmaceutical companies to determine the price based on value. Well, the highest priced nations seem to have, um, which were the United States, Canada, and Germany. The United States was the only one that had no government regulation. Canada did, so did Germany, but they had lower. They didn't have a strict value-based effort. So, and then finally, the survey showed that most people would agree that in the United States, at least, something on the drug pricing, pharmaceutical drug pricing needs to change because most of what is being done in the United States specifically um, has been seen as unethical according to the survey I did. And these are the works cited for each slide. And thank you for your time.